regular meeting and start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Flags recognized. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Approval amendment of meeting agenda items.
The agenda is as presented.
I move to approve the board meeting items for December 11th, 2018.
Been moved and seconded to approve the board meeting agenda items for December 11th, 2019 as presented. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Approval of minutes.
I move to approve the minutes of November 13th, 2019 as presented.
Been moved and seconded to approve the minutes from November 13th, 2019 as presented. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Correspondence? Public comment? Moving to reports. Third grade, Dr. Bernard Daly.
I'd like to introduce Miss Flotzy. Most all of you know her. She's brought some third graders here for a presentation tonight, and I'll let her introduce her students.
So we have some kind of shy students, but we'll. So again, we need to be.
We won't fight, we promise.
Come on in.
Welcome.
So I have 4 third graders that were brave enough to come tonight. And this is Yasmin Pedrosa and Aiden Dahlbear, Quinlan Muller, and Adelaide Tagg. And what we were doing kind of at the beginning of the year is we decided we would love to do like a Lake County history project, especially since it was the 100th year of the rodeo. And then we also got asked to do favors for the library. And the library guest speaker this year was talking about Dr. Bernard Daly. And I happen to have a collection of books that Stan Wonderly had published several years ago. And it's on the life of Dr. Daly, but it's done about a 3rd, 4th grade reading and interest level. And so all the students in my class read through the book. And then one of the first projects we did is we did some little bookmarks just of Dr. Daly and some of the people that were in the book. And so these were used at the library dinner. And then I have a reading group, a REACH group, and they're some pretty good readers and some really good researchers. And so they got very interested in doing some reports on Dr. Daly. And so each of them picked what they thought was the most interesting. And the other thing is that we got to use our new Chromebooks. And the Chromebooks have a great text-to-speech feature. So once they wrote down, they took some notes on note cards, and then they talked into the Chromebook and typed up their reports. And then the reports, then we kind of edited them and they emailed them to me and printed them out. And these guys are awesome. They even know how to do graphics that I don't know how to do. So they put in pictures and everything that I wasn't even sure how they did that, but they did that all on their own. And our new arrival here, this is Lily, I believe, and she also is part of the REACH group. So we thought we would come tonight. The little boxes around the tables are dioramas that we made. And those were also put out at the library dinner. And some of the students worked with partners. Some of them worked on their own. And we tried to also do a study about the history of Lakeview. We got some books from the library, the early days of Lake County. And we also did a trip to the museum, and Marie Lee showed us a lot of things about early Lake County history, Dr. Daly. And we're hoping to also follow up when the weather gets a little better, maybe in the spring, they would like to tour Dr. Daly's bank, and they'd also like to go out and see the his monument out there, his gravestones. So we're hoping to get to do that a little later. We also had several students that I had one little boy that started, and then Aiden also continued this, but he was even doing a whole little notebook of pictures and stories about the early days of Lakeview. So, I will let the students present then. And let's see, Aiden, would you like to go first? He's the one brave young man.
Bernard Daly. I was born in County Mayor Island, February 17th, 1859. When I was 5, my family and I sailed to America along with many other families. I settled in Selma, Alabama, and also started in first grade. I became a citizen of the United States of America in 1879. I was a doctor, a banker, a cattle rancher, and I was on the board for OSU. In 1920, I died on a train just outside of Livermore, California.
Aiden was also one of my go-to guys for getting the graphics, the print.
And would you like to read yours?
Dr. Daly's many jobs. One thing I learned about Dr. Daly is he has so many jobs. He founded our town in about 1889. We still have his statue at the Lakeview High School. Bernard Daly was born on February 17th, 1858. Bernard Daly moved from Ireland in 1863. When he grew up, he became a doctor. He later held many jobs in Lakeview. He saved his money. Dr. Daly signed his will on December 27th, 1919. Just 9 days before he died, Dr. Daly gave his money to the students graduating from Lake County High Schools.
We also did on our walking trip take a little tour into the high school, and we got to see Dr. Daly's statue, and so we talked a little bit about that's where the fund is from. Let's see, Addie and Quinlan?
Dr. Daly was born on February 17, 1858. He was born in a house in County Mayo, Ireland. In the 1850s, more people were sailing to America. It could take up to 6 months. By 1863, Bernard's family came to America. When the Daly family got there, they went to Alabama in 1863. After a few years, Bernard Daly went to college in Oklahoma State University. Next, he went to California for a few years. Then he came to Lakeview, Oregon. He served on the Lakeview School Board for 30 years. He opened a medical practice at age 29. No one knows why Dr. Daly chose Lakeview to start with. He said, "I travel in hot weather, day, buggy, by horseback to see my patients." Once in 1920, a bad man named Long John was in town giving the bartender a hard time. Finally, the bartender pointed a bulldog 38 Rover at Long John's chest. He shot the gun. Sheriff went to Dr. Daly's house over the drugstore to get him up. Daly remembered once when Long John was a patient at the local hotel, and he refused to do anything medical thing Dr. Daly told him. So Dr. Daly told him to lay there and die. "I'm leaving." Long John pulled his pistol from under his pillow and shot Dr. Daly in the rump. After that story, Sheriff went back to the saloon, and Long John was laid on the pool table where no blood, Long John's chest. The bullets wrapped themselves in Long John's underwear, woolen underwear. After they found out After he found out that he wasn't dying, he rolled off the pool table and ran on his horse and never was seen in Lakeview again. Unfortunately, later that year, Dr. Daly died on a train going to San Francisco in 1922. His funeral was held at the Catholic Church in Lakeview, Oregon. This is the story of Dr. Daly's life. He was a very good man who worked very hard. He was important to Lakeview. We will always remember him in honor of his hard work.
Addie?
Dr. Daly had many jobs, but my favorite job of his is a judge. Under Dr. Daly's leadership, a 3-story red brick courthouse was built in 1908 at the cost of $45,000. The same blueprint plans were used for the courthouse in Nebraska. The tower on the top had a clock on each side. The chimes sounded every half hour. Dr. Daly read and studied law books so he could pass the Bar Association examination and become a circuit judge. Dr. Daly was considered a very good circuit judge. In 1914, Dr. Daly was appointed by Governor James R. Whitney, circuit judge of Lake County.
And they've been practicing very hard on their reading on this, and Addie was even memorizing a little of hers. And then Yasmin was still working on her report, but she did a real nice job. She took her building home, and she made that all herself to represent the building at Silver Lake where the fire happened. And would you like to tell us about yours? Want to tell them about your building?
So, since I didn't finish the house at my school, I told Miss Watts if I could take it home, and she said yeah. And I finished it, and I did it by myself with a little help with my sister, and we had to do this project about Dr. Daly. I'm not done with my speech yet, but I'll be done with it in some other day when Miss Watts will let me finish this project.
And I just have one last little report. Wyatt Farrell wasn't able to be here tonight, but he did a nice job on his report. And he also, which I thought was wonderful, he made a point of coming to the library dinner and hearing the speech. So I thought that was pretty inspiring for a third grader to want to go to that dinner and listen to all the people talk. This is Wyatt's. On February 17th, 1859, I was born in County Mayo, Ireland. In 1863, my family and I sailed to America, and then in 1864, I started first grade in Selma, Alabama, after I settled in 1863. In 1870, I worked for my brother Hugh in New York City. In 1879, I became an American citizen. In 1884, I attended Ohio State Normal University, and in 1887, I got a medical degree and went to the University of Louisville, Kentucky. And then I got a medical license in California and also opened a medical practice in Lakeview, Oregon in 1889. I served on town council in Lakeview, Oregon, was also elected to Lakeview School Board and served for 30 years. I think it was the longest serving school board member ever. In 1897, I became the mayor of Lakeview and was elected as an Oregon State Senator. In 1883, Lakeview was destroyed by a fire, and then in 1908, a courthouse was built that is no longer here because people thought it was too dangerous, and now many people wish it was here. In 1913, the Lakeview High School was built, and in 1914, I became a circuit judge in Lake County. In 1910, World War I started, and I was on several boards that I served to support the war effort. Sadly, in 1920, Dr. Daly passed away on a train going to San Francisco, In 1922, the Daly Fund began in Lake County, Oregon, and now Dr. Daly is remembered and will be for a long, long time. And then he did a nice graphic there of the county. And so thank you so much for letting us come and share this.
Thank you.
Excellent job, very nice presentation.
And maybe that you guys can take one of the buildings and we'll.
Good job, everybody.
Nice work, you guys.
So, parents, you're certainly welcome to stay. But we know that time is precious this time of night, and if you want to choose to.
Thank you.
All right.
Very good. Okay, moving along then, we're going to go to old business. New business, 9.1.
Thompson, Superintendent Thompson, Chair for Lake County ESD, for the annual presentation on the residential services. You're on, Mr. T.
All right. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate you allowing me to come in. The MOU is very similar to last year's. I just wanted to cover a few highlights. On the first page, our speech and language program, we do have a new speech and language pathologist that's been working at the high school and the elementary schools. Her name is Tiffany Roberts. She is what they call a traveler, so she'll be with us this whole year. And then depending on how much I can sweet talk her, whether we can convince her to stay longer. So, and then we also have Janelle Pizagorskis. She actually moved in the middle of last year up into Paisley. So what's the chances of finding a speech and language pathologist in Paisley? I'll make that bet now because I did. So, and then Brittany McCrary, she has been working with our speech and language pathologist for this last year, and she has just finished up her work, and she's actually waiting for 2 grades, and then she'll be getting her speech and language assistant license and starting in helping the kids after the first of the year. So we're excited about having that. Let's see, and then we're still supporting, just the same as last year, your librarian. We were able to continue with our enrichment funds this year. Also with your halftime technology person we pay for. So that's still in place. And again, we have all the copy services that we provide at the ESD. Lakeview does a really good job of supplying us with lots of things to photocopy and to laminate and all that kind of stuff. And so we're happy to do that for you guys. So, but after that, if there's any questions, I'm happy to answer them. But other than that, everything's pretty much the same as it has been in years past. And we're just continuing on. We're looking at, this year we did a pilot program with providing some nursing services for the 5 districts, and so far that's been going well. Seems to be very positive reception, and so we'll be looking at possibly this next year's MOU or next year's local service plan may include some of those services as a continual type of thing. So.
Questions? Mr. Thompson, I want to just say thanks again for the meetings in Paisley with those.
Oh, yeah.
Great food and great presentations, and very informative.
Yep.
I know that takes time and effort for your staff and you to fill.
I give all the credit to Taylor Heileman. She set all the meal up and set all that up. So
yeah,
all the credit goes to her. So I showed up and had a good meal just like you did. So.
Fair enough. Well, thank you.
And of course, you need a motion.
I move to approve the 2019-20 memorandum of understanding between Lake County School District Number 7 and Lake ESD as presented.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the 2019-20 memorandum of understanding between Lake County School District Number 7 and Lake ESD as presented. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries. 9.2.
Mr. Stratton, can you introduce us, please?
Yeah, just wanted to add to this. With this avid, we do phenomenal things for our students in this school district. And one of the things that we do is giving them the opportunities to visit, study and learn about colleges, trade schools and stuff like this. And this is another classic example of where some parents take their kids and take them to colleges and get them to college visits and get to see some, but a lot of parents can't or don't or aren't able to. Our students don't have parents that will do that. Over Thanksgiving break, we had company over and they have a daughter that's a junior and she hasn't taken her SAT yet. She doesn't know when she's gonna apply for it. She doesn't know where she's gonna go. She's, her junior year's halfway over. Our kiddos our students that are able to go to Avid, they're hearing and seeing and doing this since 7th grade, if they started in 7th grade. I love this program. I hope it's around forever because it just does a phenomenal job for all of our students. With that being said, I'm going to turn it over to any questions you have to Ms. Harris and Ms. Peak, and they're going to talk about our proposed Washington trip.
Okay, so I had the students decide, we kind of decided we didn't want to go to schools in Oregon because they go there all the time. They go there from the time they're in 7th grade on up, and they feel like their parents could take them there. So they wanted to go somewhere where they feel like their parents are probably not going to take them, but that schools that are definitely accessible to them. So they voted whether they wanted to go to California, New York, not New York, Washington, California, Washington, Idaho, or Nevada, and they all voted for Washington. And so they researched schools, they researched the towns that these schools were in, and I put a big map up on the board, and they literally went up and they wrote on it, they circled it, and they put the name of it over there. And so I kind of took a map, still not knowing anything about Oregon, and I looked at a map and said, well, this is kind of a good little route. And we picked 7 schools, and my goal is to go to 7 schools in 3, maybe 4 days. I have it timed out really well, Janet, you laugh. You see in my itinerary. But so it's very quick, yes. But they are seeing private schools, public schools, community colleges, technology institutes, and so we have some specifications in order for them to be able to go on this trip. Their grades starting on 2nd semester on have to be a C or higher. They have to have good attendance, and we're working on an exact percentage for that. Absolutely no discipline issues. They are doing fundraisers. They have decided they are hosting a dance on Friday for the middle school kids. And they have been working all week on this dance. They've been in charge of music. They've been in charge of decorations. They got on my Amazon account and ordered the props for the pictures that they wanted, and so they are super excited. They even decided to sell secret Santa candy canes. So they've been selling those at lunch. It's only made $60, but they feel like that's a lot of money for 3 or 4 days of dollar candy canes, and they're so excited to deliver those on Friday morning. But they're really, really excited about this trip. So.
This is what grade?
9 through 11.
So there will be some freshmen.
Mm-hmm. It's 10 freshmen, 2 juniors, and 2 sophomores.
Mostly freshmen.
Mostly freshmen.
So I'm sure I'm going to sound foolish here from what our policy may be, but the grade C or higher, which sounds pretty good. So I guess the thought that I go through my mind is, what if a student is struggling with like a D as a freshman and goes on this trip and something sparks their interest about going above and beyond high school and motivates them to do that?
And so I think that part of the part to try to motivate that is they have so much ownership in planning this, right? And so knowing it ahead of time what that is, having the support through the AVID class to achieve their grades, because a lot of AVID is about checking their grades, doing the tutorials, supporting them academically to achieve there. And with the ownership and the buy-in and the motivation to, I want to get there and I want to have this opportunity, and knowing what the expectations are ahead of time, I believe that support is in place to help them that way. But I see where you're going, and hopefully that's part of what we're looking at taking, is that this sparks enough interest that people are going to be like, hey, look at the opportunity we got to do, right? We had the ownership, we created this is where we wanted to go, and to be able to have that as a driving force to continue. Avid is so much work, it's a lot of rigor, right? To continue to stay engaged with it and to know that there's those rewards and those opportunities to get on those campuses.
Did you have to turn anyone away that didn't meet the criteria? Were there?
We haven't, this criteria is starting at the beginning of the second semester and at the end of January.
So is there, so this would be probably something available to them next year, if freshmen.
That's
and
the
become
plan.
sophomore.
Yep, that's the plan, is that this is kind of that big,
So they'll be
that big
presenting
trip.
back to the
Absolutely.
folks if anybody didn't get to go. And
Absolutely, and what we're hoping for is really in that junior year is searching and making a plan and listing your colleges and making some decisions even by your junior year. You know, your senior year is the application part, and so by offering this opportunity here, we're helping the kids to make the best decision and be equipped with that knowledge. And so, yeah, we'd like to have it be a continued thing.
So, correct me if I'm wrong, but the 7th graders does a close by college trip. The 8th graders do
Pretty close. So our 8th graders just went to SOU.
SOU, 7th graders just went to OIT.
Not yet.
Oh.
We weren't able to get
No.
it through before the snow hit, but they're going to go in the spring.
Okay, and then the 9/11 go on a big trip every year.
That's what we're trying to go back. So 2 years ago, we did a big California trip, and hit six schools and went San Francisco and all the way down that
so
way.
I've heard SOU, OIT, California, we're talking Washington. I didn't know there was anything other than OSU.
Oh, my land.
Nothing in Eugene.
93 would say otherwise.
All right, well, any other comments? All right. Do we have a motion?
I move to approve the 2019-20 Avid College Tour Trip as presented.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the 2019-20 Avid College Tour Trip as presented. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries. Thank you, guys. Consent agenda.
As presented, Mr. Chair.
So I move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
It's moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda as presented. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries. Announcements.
It seems like here lately we've had a lot of people near and dear who used to be in this district that have passed on, and take a little time to recognize Dorothy Ogle, passed on a couple of weeks ago. All the way back when I went to Lakeview High School, she was a sub back then, and a very fine sub, and she subbed in the district for, I can't begin to tell you how many years, but a good long time. Sometimes, the principals can attest, some days it's tough to get a sub, but my understanding is whenever Dorothy was called, she came. The thing about Dorothy too, for a number of years, and I wish I'd had the exact amount of years, she taught art at Union School. And Deb Watts at Dorothy's memorial service, which I attended, gave a very nice eulogy on behalf of her days at Union School and the great work that she did with kids and the very fine art program that she developed. So anyway, not to mention everything she did for this community and other venues as well. So anyway, our memories and heartfelt thoughts to Dorothy and also to her family.
And the family requested that they have a art donation in memory of for the Union School, and the last account I gave you was $1,350 that had been donated, and I know that I got some today, but I haven't had a chance to open my mail this afternoon, so I know I have maybe 4 or 5 checks sitting back there in memory of Dorothy for the Union School specific.
Amazing lady, and she will be missed.
Thank you, Will, for the appreciation to Dorothy Ogle. That's great. All right. Next board meeting agenda items.
Some of these, I caution you, may change, but I'll go ahead and for the record put them out there. OSBA policy updates batch 2, begin a 5 o'clock work session. I believe there's about 10 or 11 of those to go through. The 4-week school week discussion, that's going to be in the form of a work session also. I'm thinking probably immediately after the regular agenda. And then we'll have also an executive session related to superintendent evaluation. And then for right now, that's it. Anybody else in the room have anything that will be added? Would you like to comment?
Probably. Like
Yeah,
no
Janet
rest.
may have. So, anyway.
You never know.
So that's what it kind of looks like. There may be some alterations there, but for the time being, that's what's presented to us.
Right. We're down to adjournment.
I move we adjourn the meeting.
So moved and seconded to adjourn the meeting. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries. We're adjourned.